What's going on, everyone? This is Mitchell Mander here, and today I'm going to be doing another impressions video on the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. This time we'll be covering episode 140, which is titled Guzzlord Invasion, the Great Z Move Battle, and oh boy, I was looking forward to this episode. I've been looking forward to this episode since it was announced, and this ultimately was a letdown in my opinion. It was a very underwhelming and definitely should have been a lot better than what it turned out to be. So, anyways, I just want to say that I do like the fact that Ash remembered its weak spot and shared it with Lusamine and the others from episode 101. I just wish this was done on screen. If this was done on screen, could someone correct me? Because I don't recall. From what I remember, it was never told on screen, so yeah, that I didn't really like that, but at the same time I do like the fact that they have intel on Guzzlord, so they know how to deal with it. Now, at first I groaned when I saw Team Rocket because I figured it was going to be a distraction, but this ended up being one of the best moments from the episode, because I like the fact that Bewear shows up, obviously, and basically manhandles Guzzlord and just throws it right out of the arena. Like, literally, like, it just shows up and just takes Guzzlord away. And it actually is doing a pretty good job until Stuffle falls off its back, and then it basically gets beaten down. And before Guzzlord can, finish Bewear off, Team Rocket steps up, saves Bewear and Stuffle, and then it takes them away to safety. And I like this moment. It's really nice because usually Bewear is the one that comes in and saves Team Rocket or takes Team Rocket away. This time around, it's the opposite. Team Rocket's the one that's saving Bewear and taking Bewear away. So this was a very, I honestly thought this was one of the best moments from the episode. So at this point, the episode splits into three different ways because there are three Guzzlords that everyone has to deal with. The Kahunas and the Tapus versus the normal Guzzlord. Gladion, Kiawe, Hau, and then later Lana, Mallow, and Sophocles versus Shiny Guzzlord, and then Ash and Mask Royal versus another Shiny Guzzlord that showed up near the coast, or near the boats, or the port, excuse me. And yeah, there really isn't too much to say with the first two, which is the Kahunas and the Tapus, and then Gladion, Kiawe, and the others. So in these battles, it's basically, they basically use their Z moves and launch Guzzlord back into the wormhole. Though with the Kahunas, the Tapus actually show up and hold Guzzlord down. And it is kind of nice because in the episode 100 and 101, we know that the Tapus basically abandoned all hope in Alola and basically gave up on them. And this time around it shows that, they're not giving up hope. They're fighting to protect Alola here. So that is really nice to see. But I am a little disappointed because I think this is where we should have gotten the Guardian of Alola Z move used here. Or at least used sometime during this episode. It was a really big missed opportunity, but anyways, more on that later. Now, with Gladion, Kiawe, and Hau's battle, they did come up with an interesting strategy where Decidueye was going to basically pin it down, or try to pin down Guzzlord, and then Kiawe would use Focus Blast with Turtonator, and then Gladion would finish Guzzlord off with the Z move and knock it back in the wormhole. It fails, but that's when Lily, Mallow, and Lana show up, Lily, Mallow, Lana, and Sophocles show up, and basically help. They basically use all their Z moves, and then boom, Guzzlord's shot right back into the wormhole, and that's it. And then we have Ash and Mask Royal versus the Shiny Guzzlord, and I thought this was probably the most interesting of the three, just because Mask Royal was using a Lucario that we've never seen before, and it basically set up for Pikachu to trap Guzzlord, and then they try to send it back, but it doesn't quite go into the Ultra Wormhole, and Lucario is taken out pretty easily. That's when Poipole, oh wait a second, I mean Naganadel, it just shows up out of nowhere. It knows Thunderbolt. They have a little nice moment of reunion with Ash and Pikachu and Naganadel. And that's when, because Naganadel knows Thunderbolt, that's when Mask Royal decides that they need to use their Electrium Z crystals and send Guzzlord back into the Ultra Wormhole, and which is successful, but at the same time, Mask Royal's mask rips off and Kukui is exposed in front of Ash. And I gotta say, I had this feeling that when they said Ash versus Kukui, it would be Kukui and not Mask Royal. And I thought it was implied with that title, but here it is, and I was right. I just had this feeling. Though it would have been nice to see a Royal Mask Royal versus Young Mask Royal, but oh well. And I do find it funny that Professor Kukui has a Electrium Z crystal. They just popped out of nowhere. I don't think he's used it in the series, but at the same time, it probably makes sense that he has one because he's done the island pilgrimage when he was younger, so he most likely has most of the Z crystals himself. He just hasn't used them. At the same time, it just kind of comes out of nowhere, but that's more of a nitpick and not really that big of a deal. So, I want to go into the things that I honestly have problems with this episode. To be honest, with this episode being only, this whole Guzzlord situation taking place in one episode, it was bound to lead to some pacing issues. And oh boy, this episode unfortunately feels rushed, because it feels like they got the job done too easily. And I know that, I get it. They know Guzzlord's weakness, and they know how, what they have to do to basically send it back. But I feel like they overcame the Guzzlords too easily. And it should have been 2 episodes, and it would have been nice if, other Ultra Beasts showed up as well, besides Guzzlord to cause chaos. And it could have led to an actual interesting ending for the arc. And another point down for this episode was pretty much all the reused Z-Move animations that they used from previous episodes. And I get it. Animation, it takes time and is expensive and time-consuming, like I said. But it just comes off as lazy here. And additionally, like I mentioned earlier, this was the perfect opportunity to use the Guardian of Alola Z-Move. Make a situation where the Z-Moves, everyone's Z-Moves are basically used to pin down Guzzlord or do something to it or damage it in some way. And Ash uses the Guardian of Alola Z-Move. Like the Tapus show up, they know what to do, and they see that Ash, Tapu Koko has deemed Ash worthy of using this Z-Move, because from the very beginning of the show, Tapu Koko has acknowledged Ash as special. And then this would, come full circle here, and it would show that the Tapus are basically acknowledging Ash as worthy of using this Z Crystal, which is the Guardian of Alola, and it could have been a spectacular moment, and a nicely animated moment, but honestly, it would have been a great way to wrap up the series, if I'm being honest. And it would have been a new Z-Move animation, and not all these, old Z-Moves. It would have made up a little bit for that, and we'd have had this, really nice looking new Z-Move. But unfortunately, that's not what happened, and I have to say, that was a huge missed opportunity. And this is more of a minor complaint, but where did Ilima and Mina go? And where did some of the other contestants go? I get they weren't the main focus, and they, lost in the top 16. But they were clearly in the audience when Ash got his trophy, so where'd they go? Ilima could have been there to use a Z-Move. Honestly, Ilima has been one of the biggest character letdowns in Sun and Moon. I'm really disappointed with how he's been handled. But for me, the biggest letdown was Naganadel himself. Because the thing about it is, it comes out of nowhere, evolved, and it basically comes to save the day. Because they were already struggling to get Guzzlord through the Ultra Wormhole. And this could have been a great moment. Maybe another minute or 2 longer. Or something like that. Another thing too, it should have evolved before Ash left, because it doesn't really feel satisfying. When Ash left it back in the Ultra space that it was in. I really wish it would have evolved with Ash, or Ash would have done more with Poipole if this is the case, if it just evolved off a screen. And it just doesn't feel satisfying. And another thing too is it conveniently knows Thunderbolt, which I looked this up, and it can only learn, or Naganadel can only learn Thunderbolt through TM. So honestly, I'm not really too happy with this, to be honest with you. This could have been done way better. And it does kind of feel like a Goodra situation where it shows up, basically, to be Ash's 6th Pokemon at the end of the league. Because we know that in our next episode it looks like Ash vs. Kukui is a 6v6 battle. So yeah, I really think this should have been handled better. But there was some good moments, and some of the action was pretty decent in this episode, so it wasn't the worst Sun and Moon episode. It's just that, at the end of the series, with it being like this episode could have been so much better. So I know I hate to say this, but this episode, I can only give this episode a 5 out of 10. It's a bit of a letdown. So anyways, guys out there, what did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with my, complaints with this episode? Or do you disagree? Like, honestly, I'm willing to listen to you guys. If you guys have some pretty good counter arguments to what I'm saying, go right ahead. I've listened to some of you guys in the comment section and previous videos, and you guys have, come up with some pretty good points. So, yeah, I'm willing to listen. I always try to respond to every comment, or at least look at every single comment I get anyways, but I'm kind of, dragging the video on at this point. So anyways, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and, I'm almost at 100 subs, so, if we could get that to 100 subs soon, that'd be cool. Anyways, I will talk to you guys next time. I'll see you all later. Bye.